Few people have found ways to make learning about independent clauses or correct uses of commas compelling. Snapchat, Twitter, and texting have made proper punctuation seem like a chore, something English teachers make you do, and make sitting through grammar lessons a boring nightmare for most students. And all of the teacher speeches about the importance of it, or even quiz grades, are not enough to compensate for the tedious work of learning grammar, or as I like to call it, the algebra of English class. So here's the question. Is there any way to make grammar engaging? My students once interviewed World War II veterans, and they created documentaries with the footage. And we took these videos, these documentaries, and we screened them in front of the entire community at a local theater. And I had them create subtitles in the videos so everyone could understand what the vets were saying. But in my first year of doing this project, I didn't screen the videos with the subtitles before the event. That was a mistake. Veterans' names were misspelled, the word you was spelled like this, and God forbid my students care to use the correct form of their. Following the event, everyone heaped my students with praise for their work, but person after person came up to me and said, "Hey, great work, Teach, but man, you need to teach those kids how to spell and use grammar." I was mortified. Despite how great the films were, the poor grammar in the subtitles distracted everyone from their work. And so the following year during that project, I built in many grammar lessons, telling students that the subtitles in their films would be seen by hundreds of people, and that their use of syntax would need to be perfect. My instruction for teaching the grammar was the same, but now it had purpose, and students paid much closer attention because their grammar was leaving the walls of my classroom and their gradebook. When students see that there's a real need for proper grammar, it heightens their attention because the stakes are higher. Every year, my high school freshmen create children's books that we then bring to a local elementary school to read to younger kids. I stress to my students the need for proper spelling and grammar because elementary students will be quick to point out errors. And that's exactly what happened. One year, I didn't check the books as much as I should have before visiting the elementary class, and one of my students didn't capitalize any of their I's. There wasn't a third grader in the room who didn't notice or point it out. It turns out third grade is about the time students start learning capitalization, and this skill was still fresh on their minds. Suddenly, my students learn that grammar is not just a rule that has to be followed for the sake of following, but a means to ensuring that you are not distracting your audience from your work. Of course, the student's book with the I's was still readable, but it wasn't polished, and that is all the audience could think about. Simply telling students this fact isn't enough. They need to be shown the value of using correct punctuation and spelling words correctly. Project-based learning lends to this task well. When teachers heighten the gravity of work students complete in class, there's almost always heightened engagement. This doesn't mean teachers have to abandon the practices and lessons that we use to teach grammar. Those worksheets and direct instruction still have plenty of merit. Instead, they're giving meaning for that work. They're turning spelling tests from busy work into meaningful assignments to prepare for an important presentation. When teaching compound and simple sentences to my students, I contact local businesses and see if there's any marketing materials my students could help create. For proper punctuation, we send letters to elected officials petitioning for certain causes that mean something to my students. And for capitalization and comma usage, we create documentaries, and we make sure the subtitles for them are perfect. In the midst of all these projects, I still stand in front of a whiteboard at times and drill age-old rules into the minds of students who aren't invigorated by grammar. However, they are energized by creating authentic work, and so naturally, they do better on grammar quizzes.